What's up, YouTube? Have you ever heard of the case with Jamal Trulove and the connection to now VP Kamala Harris, and how back in 2010 in San Francisco, California, Kamala Harris's prosecutors sent this man to prison for 50 years and for a crime he did not commit. So guys, I'm going to read an article from Vice and also going to cut to some clips from the interview from Vice with Jamal Trulove and to tell his story. But I'm going to tell it through the article first and cut to the clips. But guys, I'm Corey. Welcome to my channel, Let's Talk with Corey. And this is your first time tuning in, hit that subscribe button. But before I get into this story, wherever you are in the world today, I mean wherever you are in the world today, I really do hope you're having a great day. And as I said, this is coming from Vice, and it's making its rounds because there's been a lot of talk about, oh, Kamala Harris has never did anything to, the black people. And indirectly, this man's life was changed. And it wasn't directly, Kamala Harris wasn't directly the person who handed him any time. But it was her office sent this innocent man to prison for murder. And now he's talking.
Never in a million years I would have thought that they were going to charge me for sales murder. I never talked to no detective, no police officer, no DA, nobody.
Just arrested and then charged.
Arrested and charged, that's it.
Was the first time you saw Kamala Harris in person the day that the verdict was issued?
She showed up at the two most pivotal times in this first trial, and me being convicted and me being sentenced. She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction.
That's what it felt like, celebration?
A celebration, that's what it felt like.
And now he's talking. And so guys, this article comes from October 10th of 2019 by Chris Roberts. It says Jamal Trulove almost saw it coming. He figured he might be arrested, at least spend some quality time with police after his friend who was shot and killed one warm night in July of 2007. When somebody dies in the hood, everybody feels like they're involved. He explained recently during a sit-down with Vice at the clubhouse of United Players, a violence prevention nonprofit based in his hometown of San Francisco. When someone gets killed, you can plan on getting jacked up by the police regularly. Wow. Says Trulove had made it out of the city's Sunnydale housing projects, his childhood home, where he had learned to record music and spent years selling CDs out of the trunk of his car. He won an internet vote to appear on I Love New York Part 2, a reality show on VH1. Though he was kicked off on the first episode, he had done enough right to relocate to New York City, where he was trying to develop another reality TV project and advance his music career. So this guy was really trying to change his life, and he had that opportunity through the reality series that he was on. But then he visited the mother of his two children back in Seaside, California in October of 2008, and his wrongful conviction nightmare began. Says that he got into an argument with the kid's grandmother and police were called, Trulove said. Says the officers went from almost bored to wide-eyed and agitated after running his ID, reaching for their weapons and shouting at him to get on the ground. He recalled, I'm like, oh man, whatever this is, I'll be out within 72 hours. So he thought. The maximum length of time police can hold someone without charging them for a crime, says Trulove. But rather than investigate, as an appellate court later found, San Francisco cops tasked with solving Kuka's murder worked to frame Trulove as the killer. Wow! Within hours of the shooting. Though 24 or more people saw this young man die, only a single eyewitness agreed to talk to police. And though she failed to pick Trulove out of a series of photos and identified someone else by name, police eventually coerced her into fingering Trulove. including shortly after his VH1 show aired in late 2007. An arrest warrant was issued the following year when a second person facing a third strike felony charge told police Trulove was the shooter. Wow. It was bad luck that he had happened to have run in with law enforcement soon afterwards. Despite no physical evidence linking him to the crime, Trulove was convicted and sentenced to 50 years to life. It's the closest thing to dying, Trulove said. Trulove was transferred to jail in San Francisco, charged with first-degree murder, and brought to trial in early 2010, despite no physical evidence linking him to the crime, and the fact that eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable. He was convicted and sentenced to 50 years to life for her testimony. The alleged eyewitness also received more than 60 grand in housing and relocation benefits from the office of a rising political star, San Francisco District Attorney Kamala Harris. So guys, so before anybody comes out and says, oh, this is BS and this, that, and the third, this actually happened. And I'm going to cut to the clips so you can hear this stuff from the man himself, who was awarded $13 million from the city of San Francisco for being wrongfully convicted. But I'm jumping ahead. It says Trulove's story of wrongful conviction and eventual exoneration has been told before. He's even won, as I said, $13 million payout from the city of San Francisco, like I just told you guys. But now, one of the key players is making a serious run for the White House. And Trulove's anxious to tell his story again, this time including the role Harris played in it. He told Vice in his first ever interview about Harris and his wrongful prosecution. So guys, I'm gonna cut to the clip.
About my case, and she was there to set her presence, almost take pride in getting a conviction. When I put in my appeal, the people that's fighting against my appeal to keep the conviction is the Attorney General office. I learned it reading, their reply to my appeal, and you see Kamala Harris' name at the bottom. And now it's starting to feel a little personal.
When you win the $13.1 million, it's a massive settlement. Did you feel like that was enough?
There's not an amount that could get back those 7 years. That 6.5 years that I spent in prison. But instead of me coming home feeling like I was a victim, I wanted to prove that
The city's homicide rate hit a 14-year high. 75% of the time, no suspect was ever arrested. Though she faced no serious opposition and was easily reelected that year, Harris arguably wasn't making enough cases to win over the more conservative voters she might need to make a play for the statewide or national office in 2010. That may have served to make winning murder cases like the one against Trulove all the more urgent. According to Trulove, Harris was present at the hearings, announcing both the verdict and the sentencing in his case. She even briefly locked eyes with him at one of the proceedings, offering what seemed like a smirk. He said she wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction. Trulove said that's what it felt like, a celebration. Trulove's case is perhaps the most glaring contradiction in Harris's record, and as they said, is littered with overkill. Harris's victories with voters followed the win in the courtroom. Months after Trulove's 2010 conviction, buoyed by an endorsement from President Barack Obama and touted an increase in her office's felony conviction rate, Harris upset Steve Cooley, the Republican DA of Los Angeles County, by a razor-thin margin to become California's Attorney General. She has not lost an election since and was elected to the U.S. Senate the same night Donald Trump was elected president. Meanwhile, following a year in San Francisco County Jail, Trulove spent almost 5 years in state prison. On his very first day, he said he witnessed a fellow inmate's murder. Later, he survived being shanked in the stomach in San Quentin, one of the most notorious prisons in California's overcrowded penal system, according to his successful civil suit against his city. Being in prison for a crime he did not commit for the murder of a friend, no less, was Trulove's worst nightmare, he said. It's the closest thing to dying. He stayed sane by reminding himself he was innocent and staying focused on his appeal. Every year he stayed inside, he would tell himself, you know what, I'm going to go home next year, he said, constantly reminding himself what he told the courtroom, I just didn't do it. Seeing Harris's name on all of the paperwork began to gnaw at him, though it started to feel personal, he said. Even though she didn't prosecute the case personally, when it came to the sign-off, it felt personal. Trulove's family hired Mark Zillersmith, a Stanford-educated veteran appellate attorney. He tracked down more witnesses who testified that Trulove wasn't the shooter and that the cops had done him wrong. On appeal in 2013, ended in a downgrade of his conviction, but maintained that the case was sound and that the DA's office had the right man. Then in January of 2014, the appellate court found prosecutorial misconduct and threw out Trulove's conviction, ordering a second trial. The state's case had hinged almost entirely on the testimony of the bogus, compromised eyewitnesses. The jury found that detectives showed an eyewitness a single photo of Trulove rather than presenting the person with photos of other people as part of a lineup to identify a suspect. As the AP reported, after Trulove won his payout, the appellate court also found that Linda Allen, Harris's prosecutor in the case, had lied when she told Trulove's first jury that the eyewitness feared for her life for testifying against him. In press reports following the conviction, Harris went on the record praising the eyewitness's bravery. In a new trial without a credible eyewitness and with police and prosecutors' misdeeds known, Trulove was acquitted. Such reversals are rare. Appeals court upheld 81% of all felony convictions in 2010, and due to a U.S. Justice Department review later found. Armed with the acquittal, Trulove sued and received the big settlement, but those most immediately responsible for his fate have evaded accountability. So guys, if you want to read this article, I'll leave information in a link in the description box from Vice. This is coming from Vice. But guys, what's your thoughts? And as I said in the beginning, there's a lot of talk going on about, who should run this country and what their history is and what Trump history is and what Kamala Harris's history is. And guys, this is a true story. And again, I'm going to leave this information in the description box. I am not telling anyone who to vote for, but I think it's information that's very important. Can people change? Absolutely. Donald Trump can change, and so is Kamala Harris. This man was sent to prison for 50 years to life, wrongfully convicted. Watch the video, and you can go read this article for yourself. But it says that she had a history as well. But again, indirectly, her office tried to prosecute. They were successful in prosecuting, but it did not hold. So guys, hey, thanks for the pull up. And as always, hit that subscribe button. Let's talk with Corey. Let's talk with Corey out.